when I talk about green benefits or environmental benefits, we have a comprehensive inventory where we put it through iTree. These are the annual benefits of my urban forest in the city of Fort Wayne. Now we're going through a sewer separation program right now that we have to separate and do that. So stormwater was a big one. Stormwater is actually one of the largest benefits of our urban canopy in Fort Wayne. Followed by, you got an energy, aesthetic, and these are the figures that I use when I talk to city council, when I go try to work my budget, because a lot of people don't quite understand or don't know about trees, don't know about urban forestry, but they do understand dollars, they do understand money. And this is a hard concept to get across to some people, that they don't get their check in the mail. My tree check came in the mail, I get $11 a year because I have a tree in front of my yard. But heating and cooling and aesthetic and value of your home in general is tremendous, and trees make a difference, and this is hit home in Fort Wayne. I mean, I'm getting phone calls off the wall about my front room is so hot now, there's no street trees there. The temperature is 20 degrees difference in my living room now. It's just amazing. It's going to be a little hard to see. Green benefit loss. So what I did was, this is our ash population, and this is the actual dollar value of loss. Up to date now, about $378,000 annual loss in green benefit dollars, if that's what you want to say. That's what City of Fort Wayne's losing right now, currently. Now, after a while, once we lose them all, it's going to be more like $1.2 million a year in lost added green benefits. And stormwater is one of the things I think that really will show heavily. And I was talking to Joe last night too about leaf pickup. It's unfortunate, but the leaf pickup gets better, I guess, because you're losing so many trees. But the street commissioner actually called me and said, well, hey, what percentage of our canopy have we really lost? That's different coming from a street commissioner. You don't normally hear that. He was more interested in his leaf pickup than he was anything else. Initially, he had a really heavy leaf drop because of all the ones dying. And then after that, it actually picked up. But that was a benefit that he felt that it was great. I was like, well, thank you. But that's pretty big, I think, if you can understand the value of those trees. I mean, that's an annual value. Like I said, I've received a grant from the Indiana Department of Natural Resources. It was a $50,000 grant. Unfortunately, most of the grants out there are not for treatment right now, but they are for removal and replacement. It did fit my community because we are at the point where these trees that I removed, they weren't viable for treatment anyway. They were too far gone. So this just gives you a little bit of an idea of what about 380 trees cost me to remove internally. About $158,000. That's not including the replacements. You can add another 50 grand to that for the replacements. So it's close to a $200,000 problem just for 380 trees. And that's working nonstop every single day. Now we do have to pull them if there's a storm or if we have a safety issue, we have to pull the crews. But this is my internal crews. I do have some contractors working, but these are my internal crews. So the money is real. It is going to be probably even higher in certain areas of the country when you have your cost of living increases are completely different. Fort Wayne is, I think, very fortunate in our contracts. We've been lucky to get them relatively inexpensive. I think that's going to change due to the fact that you're going to have a very low resource when it comes time to remove all the ones across this area. Nuts and bolts, this is basically of that particular project, that grant. I had 17 employees, 4 chip trucks, buckets, chippers. We're cutting about 150 trees a week. I'm very fortunate that I made a partnership with a mill, a sawmill. They're actually purchasing the logs off our ash trees. And unfortunately, they do have to run them through metal detector because of their urban trees. But the ones that they cannot utilize for lumber, they're grinding into mulch and they're running it through screens and selling it. So that's a good opportunity for us. Now we're not making a bunch of money, but we're making some, and it's better than nothing. And I would much rather see the resource get used in another way other than just grinding up and dumping it. This is just an idea of basically what I've made and some of those sales. I sold 450 logs, about $4,500. I'm not making a fortune. but I put that into a trust fund and I plant trees out of it. So it works out well. It at least shows that we're trying to do a little bit more than just dumping the stuff and getting rid of it. Diminishing quality of lumber, and like we said, that for whatever reason that I don't know, that once the emerald ash borer hits these trees, it degrades the quality of the lumber so fast. The fiber, for some reason, just starts disintegrating. The bark falls off, the limbs are falling off. It's an amazing thing to watch. It was remarkable. These are street tree funding needs when we started putting together some things. Our problem's almost about a $7 million problem. I have a feeling it's going to be a little bit more. These were some preliminary figures that we were throwing out, trying to decide what it was going to cost us over the course of this whole entire issue. But also what I just found out this year is my bid from last year's removals. He told me, you're never going to get that again that cheap. You know, we're looking at a 40% increase in price already from one year to the next. Just because limited resources, there's not as many companies out there that can handle a problem like this. And frankly, a lot of them don't want to handle it. They don't want to deal with it. It's too big. They just don't have the resources within their own companies to handle it. So this is going to be a $7 million problem. And you know, I spoke about I treated 11,000 trees initially. Well, my initial intention was to save those trees. Well, eventually, obviously, it wasn't going to happen. So what I did effectively was I staged the removal of 8,000 to 10,000 trees. Because currently now, and that was only a single soil injection of the 1X rate of imidacloprid. Some of them got treated up and through 2010, but the majority of them were treated in 08, 09. But I'll go down a street right now, I'll have, let's say, 10 trees. I'll have to mark 6 or 7 of them. The other 3 or 4, they're not going to make it, but they're not a liability, so I don't have to remove them this year. So that's money that I can put off to the following year. So this is a prime example of staging removals using some of these chemicals. I think it's a very viable option, and it's like you can take a $7 million problem. You can either have to address $7 million in 3 to 4 years, or you can address it however many years you decide using your treatment options. You can save your urban canopy, and of the ones that are going to fail, you can still stage those for a longer period of time and make sure that you are not having a liability of children walking under dead trees, cars getting destroyed, which is happening in my city. I've got several cars getting hit with limbs, a couple houses that got hit with limbs. It's happening, and you're doing all you can possibly do, and it's still happening. So it's there. Okay, now these are my true projections. These are actually what new numbers. Now my last contract for those 2,500 trees, $573,900. I thought that was an outstanding bid. I couldn't believe I got it that cheap. It was 2,500 trees and about 3,600 stumps included. I threw in my crew's stumps. So that's why he told me you're never going to see it that cheap again. So if you can look at 2012, look at the difference. Now 2013 is going to be lower because I'm not going to have any more trees. I mean, they're pretty much going to be gone. After this year, I'm going to be down to 7,900 trees. I'm going to lose another 5,000 of those. So my issues is that I have removal crews working nonstop. They're not going to get my 4,000 trees cut from 2011 in 2011. It's going to go over into 2012, and I'll have another 5,000 trees on top of that. So it's exponential problems. And not only that, we were talking the other night, and I called Joe frequently. I said about all these little things that come up that you don't really realize. One of the little things, I call them little things, it was locates. All right, I've got 4,000 trees coming down. I have 4,000 stumps coming out. We're calling in 80 to 100 locates a day. And we overwhelmed the locate companies. They couldn't keep up. They called and said, look, we can't even keep up. So you can't even, which pushed back to all my planting, because I couldn't locate my stumps. I couldn't get the stumps out. I couldn't locate for planting. I just overwhelmed everybody with all these little ancillary things that you don't think about. Even the guys marking, and we were laughing the other night about how do you mark 4,000 trees, you know? We fortunately had Davey Resource Group come in with a contract forester and help me just on foot manage this problem. Just literally a guy to walk out and mark trees. So the problem is there, and I've increased my treatment another 10,000 this year due to the fact that I have some trees downtown that are a very favorite of some people downtown, and I was told that they have to survive. So we've been treating them since actually 2004, and they're doing great. They're doing fine. So that was that increase. But also equipment. Equipment's another issue. Everybody knows equipment takes a beating. And when you are removing trees, it's one of the hardest things you can do on chippers, especially if you're running logs through them. So we had to buy new equipment. We have a crane that we use, and it had 500,000 miles on it. I don't want any one of my crews or a resident or somebody else getting injured because of failure of equipment. Equipment is going to be huge because it's going to take a lot of beating, and it's really hard, especially ash. Ash has a lot of silica. If anybody knows that, a lot of silica in the fiber of the wood. It really has a hard time on chainsaws, on chipper blades. There's a lot of maintenance involved with a lot of these things. Public safety, exponential death. I don't know if anybody's a tort claims, act of God. This is stuff that we're going to hear later on about liability, but I'm living the liability right now. I have a massive amount of limbs that are falling. I have tort claims. I have vehicles getting destroyed. A lot of municipalities serve the act of God. We're doing our due diligence, keeping up as much as we can with what we have. Well, at some point in time, when does that fail? Is it when a child gets killed? Because I think all that'll go out the window when that happens. I sat in a meeting downtown in our city with the city attorney, the risk manager, and myself and my boss. And it's there for a while, and I think it's human nature. Everybody wants to stick their head in the sand and say, we're protected, we're a municipality, we're fine. Everything's gonna be okay. You just keep doing what you're doing. And so we had a group of people sitting there, and I said, okay, and I stood up, I said, okay, who has children? Everybody raised their hand. I said, okay, who wants their child killed? You raise your hand. Is it you? You're gonna give up your child? Is that what's gonna happen? And I know that's extreme, and I'm being extreme, but you gotta get somebody's attention. Because when you see that picture that he had with that tree-lined street of dead trees, there's children walking to school, there's people driving. This is a human problem. This is huge. So that's where I really thought the staging of removals when I treated those trees, that really helped the city of Fort Wayne out with just offsetting some of the costs. You're going to spend $7 million. Whether I spend it in 3 years or 10 years, that's up to me and how I manage this problem. So. Liability, this picture was before. This was one of my issues. There was a car there, it's moved now, but it destroyed the windshield, broke the, dented the hood in, and that was another one. How do you broad sunlight? No, there was no storm, there was no act of God happening. I mean, how do you fight that? I mean, and that's happening pretty frequently. That's in that neighborhood. All those trees are completely gone now. So there is no shade in that neighborhood whatsoever. I think there was only like 35 trees left out of the entire neighborhood after we were done.